ideas in that situation, Bill, because it's in their interest to do well in the team, and it's in the, like in Liam going into it, Liam had criticised the players when he went in, but it was in Liam's interest for the team to do well, and it was in the players' interest to do well. So I don't think that's a problem for the players, for Roy Keane going in with the players. And I think also, I mean, it is a huge talking point, the Keane situation. How's he going to get on? Well, the fact is Martin O'Neill is the manager, and it's only him, Bill, that will be able to. We're only guessing at what. I would agree with Eamon in Keane's reputation and the standards that he set himself. What made him a great player was to get the same standards from the players that he played with that he tried to get himself. And he drove players on and drove people on. Well, I think what he'll do, first of all, with the players, because of his reputation, I think the expectancy from him alone, will be much higher than it has been in the past. And that raises the expectancy of everybody. And that will be something, without even saying anything, Martin O'Neill to Roy, that he will bring to the party.
Yeah, and I think you've got to get back to the fact that Martin O'Neill is the manager,
exactly.
Bill. You've got to really get back to that.
Correct.
And assistants can be all of the things that we've described, but Martin O'Neill is the manager, and the buck stops with him. And this is his first big decision, and it's a decision he wouldn't have taken lightly because he is an intelligent man. He knows what Roy Keane means to the public here in Ireland. So I'd be against it, but I'd be backing Martin's judgment.
Do you think it will work?
I'd be backing Martin's judgment.
I'd be optimistic about it, Bill. I'd be optimistic. Roy Keane, again, I keep going back to Roy Keane is 10 or 11 years older than he was in Saipan. He's also 2 years out of the game, which is a long time to do it. I think the big thing about the appointment of the two of them is this, that they're not coming in to just waste their time. Martin O'Neill is desperate to restore his reputation after the Sunderland affair. Roy Keane is desperate to get back into the game. That's a drive that can be missing sometimes in somebody, say, of Martin O'Neill's age. I don't think there's any doubt about it, that Martin will be desperate to do well, and I think Roy Keane is desperate to do well as well to get back into the game.
I hope Martin hasn't underestimated Keane's presence, because you know, when we watch these games that Ireland are going to play, we're going to be discussing Roy Keane's input, and Martin will have to put up with that. You know, because that's what the media is obsessed with it. So they'll have to put up with that, won't they?
Oh, of course they will.
I just hope Martin has realised what bringing Keane back into this situation means.
Could I just make a point, Liam? It isn't the media obsessed with this. The public are entranced by this.
Entranced, that's correct.
And I am. As someone who loves the game, and John is, and I'm sure you are, intrigued and entranced. This is a great figure in Irish soccer.
That's right.
Two great figures, actually.
See that picture there, Bill? Is he looking at me, or is that...
Well, if he is, he's not living with any approval.
But the thing I think...
Paranoid. So we'll get no comment on Keane from you from now on, is that right?
No, well, it's all about the manager and the players. You'll get plenty of comment about the players and the manager and how they're playing.
I do think that it's wonderful for Irish soccer that we have these two great Irish players. But Martin won 2 European Cup winners' medals. Went to the quarter-final of the World Cup, captain Northern Ireland in 1982. Roy Keane is much garlanded as a player. Yeah, he made mistakes and had fallouts. But I still have respect for him as a football person, and he can bring a lot to the party. And already he's got a buzz going.
Huge.
And I think the FAR to be complimented. Dennis O'Brien, who's funding a lot of this, is to be complimented. This is great for our game, which I think has been in
but you expressed a view in one of your comments that perhaps this is a showbiz thing.
Well, I think, look, we're in showbiz, baby. You know, you need a stadium full.
You do.
You need the players up. Yeah. You need the morale high. This is part of what sport is.
So you mean, is it?
I think Martin will have in his mind that this will be a positive thing. Except the public will buy into this.
Oh, they have already.
Yeah.
But can I ask you, go back to Liam a second. Liam, you gave me the impression that his primary role with Martin, Roy's primary role, will be as a sounding board. In other words, it will be a very special relationship between the two of them, rather than, or am I misinterpreting it, rather than Keane with the players, Keane with the FAI, it'll be Keane with the manager.
Do you remember that famous documentary that Graham Taylor did? When he had Phil Neal on his side. And Graham Taylor would say, you know, this is what's happening, And Phil Neal would say, yes, boss.
That will not happen.
That will not happen.
True.
And I think Martin has selected Keane for that reason. Yeah, I think Keane will be honest. When they're in their room and they close the door and they'll say, well, what do you think of him? What do you think of him? Roy will give him a straight and honest answer.
And that's a hugely important role, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the only reason I
But I'm getting the impression from you
Martin
that you disapprove of this, do you?
No,
I know you support the decision, but it would not have been your decision.
Well, I'm not in that position. I'm going down the road. I'm going down the road, as I said a few minutes ago, that I'm so delighted that Martin O'Neill's got the job, and if I have to put up with Roy Keane, so be it.
I think to get back to
and
the
you
show,
tell me this is unfair.
I think to get back to the showbiz thing. I think Eamon is right. Of course, the showbiz in football, but as long as it's not the main reason, Bill. And I think Eamon doesn't believe it. I don't think it's the main reason. It is showbiz, and I think it's great and it's lifted everybody. But Martin O'Neill, I don't think, would make the decision to have Roy Keane just for the buzz.
Can I just make a point? Lyndon Johnson, who was vice president.
I know what you're going to say.
He was vice president of the United States when John F. Kennedy was president. And he said, vice presidency, he'd been the leader of the Senate and a very powerful man in Washington, the most powerful. He said, the vice presidency, he was quoting another vice president, isn't worth a warm bucket of spit. And if the assistant manager in many cases, in many clubs, is usually a doormat.
You said to me that you had that experience with John at Shamrock Rovers.
I did, actually. The point is...
I couldn't see you as the doormat.
I've never treated anybody as a doormat.
It depends. Nobody knows who the assistant manager of Wales is. Nobody knows who the assistant manager of Spain is, or Brazil. That's the point Liam's making. I think it's well made. It's necessary to make that and focus on Martin O'Neill and his leadership. But personally, I welcome Roy Keane coming back into the heart of Irish football. I think he'll bring an abundance of knowledge about the players that are there at the moment.
The Irish game, the Irish culture, all that.